Okay, so you want to build a 3D printing farm. You buy 10, then 50, then 100 industrial-grade prosumer printers. You line them up on heavy-duty steel racks. The LED lights blink, the stepper motors sing, and 100 print heads perfectly lay down flawless layers of carbon fiber, PETG. Finished dragons and custom drone chassis slide off textured PEI plates. Shopify pings. Stripe flashes green. Plastic melts. Money flows. Anyone would think this place is literally printing money. You buy a spool of plastic for $15, melt it, and sell it for $150. A 1,000% markup. Just scale up and get rich. The problem is, you are looking at the most deceitful hour of this business model. The truth is, a 3D printing farm is not in the manufacturing business. It is a ruthless machine downtime, optimization, and supply chain management engine, accidentally wearing the costume of a futuristic tech workshop. Today, we are going to tear down the entire P&L of a 100 machine farm, expose the unit economics, and unearth the hidden costs that bankrupt 80% of these operations in their first 18 months. Grab a calculator. We are going into the red. Let's talk numbers. You want to play in the big leagues. You buy 100 flagship prosumer machines, let's say Bamboo Lab, X1 carbons with the multicolor AMS system, at roughly $1,500 a pop. That is $150,000 in upfront capital expenditure, CapEx. But you can't just plug 100 printers into a residential wall socket. They draw 350 watts peak each. That is 35,000 watts. You are renting 1,500 square feet of light industrial space, $2,500 per month. You spend $15,000 upgrading the electrical panels. You spend another $10,000 on heavy-duty HVAC systems because 100 heated beds act like 100 space heaters running 24/7, warping your prints if the ambient room temperature fluctuates by more than 5 degrees Celsius. You are $175,000 in the hole before printing a single plastic boat. Here is the economic reality of hardware. It rots. A 3D printer running commercial hours has a maximum lifespan of about 24 to 36 months before the chassis warps, the linear rails degrade beyond tolerance, or it becomes technologically obsolete. You must amortize that $150,000 over 30 months. That is $5,000 a month in pure depreciation. If your farm is not generating $5,000 in gross margin every 30 days, you are not a business owner. You are just a hobbyist bleeding equity. Let's dissect the unit economics of a single popular product. A 200-gram, multicolor mechanical controller stand. On paper, the math is intoxicating. Material, 200 grams of PLA at $15 per kilogram equals $3. Electricity, 0.2 kilowatt hours for 10 hours equals 2 kilowatt hours. At 15 cents per kilowatt hour equals 30 cents. Retail price, $35. Theoretical gross margin, 90%. Now, wake up. Enter the physical world. 1. The hidden bleed, supports and purge. You do not just print the part, you print support structures. Add 15% to material weight. If you are doing multicolor printing, the machine must purge the old color before loading the new one. This creates poop, wasted plastic purged out the back of the machine. On complex multicolor models, purge waste can account for 40% to 60% of the total filament used. Your 200-gram part just consumed 350 grams of filament. Material cost jumps to $5.25. 2. The failure rate amortization. Physics is cruel. Bed adhesion fails at hour 7. A nozzle partially clogs at hour 9, causing under-extrusion. A power flicker micro-pauses the logic board, shifting the z-axis by 0.1 millimeters. The part goes into the trash. The industry standard failure rate for a well-tuned farm is 10%. For every 10 successful parts, you throw one away. You do not just lose the $5 of plastic, you lose 10 hours of machine time. We must bake an 80-cent failure tax into every successful unit. 3. The physical labor, you are a janitor of plastic. Printers do not clear their own beds. They do not load their own spools. They do not snap off their own support structures. You need humans. A farm operator makes $18 per hour. They spend 6 minutes per part removing it, scraping the bed, cleaning it with isopropyl alcohol, peeling supports, inspecting, and boxing. That is 10 parts an hour. Add $1.80 in direct labor per part. 4. The toll trolls, CAC, and platform fees. Where are you selling this? Etsy, Shopify, Amazon? Let's use Etsy. They take a 6.5% transaction fee, a 20-cent listing fee, and a 3% payment processing fee. If a buyer found you via off-site ads, add another 15%. Conservatively, the platform takes 15% of your gross. That is $5.25 gone instantly. Let's recalculate your 90% margin. Retail price, $35. Material with waste, minus $5.25. Electricity, minus 30 cents. Failure tax, minus 80 cents. Direct labor, minus $1.80. Packaging, minus $1. Platform. Fees minus $5.25. Real contribution. Margin $20.60, 58%. 58% is still decent, right? It would be if your machines were always printing. But they aren't. This is where 3D printing farms die. The single most important metric on your dashboard is your utilization rate, the percentage of time a printer is actively laying down plastic that someone has paid for. There are 720 hours in a month. If a printer runs 24/7, you have 720 billable hours. But orders are not perfectly queued. A 12-hour print finishes at 2 a.m. The machine sits dead, cold, and idle until your shift operator arrives at 8 a.m. 6 hours of production capacity just evaporated into the night. That is 25% of your daily yield, gone. Then comes maintenance. You must replace worn PTFE tubes. You must swap brass nozzles chewed up by abrasive glow-in-the-dark filaments. You must re-tension core XY belts. You must grease Z-axis lead screws. You must chisel away the inevitable, catastrophic blob of death. A terrifying event where a print detaches, sticks to the hot end, and encases the entire extruder assembly in a rock-hard fist of molten plastic, requiring hours of surgical heat gun extraction. A realistic utilization rate for a highly optimized farm is not 100%, it is 55%. Your 100 printers are not giving you 72,000 hours of capacity. They are giving you 39,600 hours. The depreciation clock doesn't care if the machine is idle. Your landlord doesn't care if a print failed. Your $5,000 monthly depreciation and $2,500 rent just doubled in weight per manufactured part. Let's look at your shelves. To feed 100 machines, you need filament, lots of it. Customers demand options. You need PLA, PET, G, ABS, and TPU. You need matte black, silk gold, neon cyan, fire engine red, and translucent green. To ensure you never run out during a massive order, you keep a minimum of 500 spools in stock. At $15 a spool, you have $7,500 of cash trapped in plastic wire sitting on a shelf. This filament is hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture from the air. If you don't store it in industrial dry boxes or run it through active dehumidifiers, the water boils inside the nozzle during printing, causing stringing and surface pitting. Now you are spending hundreds of dollars on desiccant beads and commercial dehydrators just to keep your raw materials from expiring. Your cash flow is frozen in plastic, trapped in hardware, and bleeding out through platform fees. Let's strip away the romance. This is what running a 3D printing farm actually feels like on a Tuesday in mid-November. Fingers blistered from prying razor-sharp rafts off PEI plates. Lungs heavy from breathing in aerosolized microplastics in an unventilated room. Waking up in a cold sweat at 3:14 a.m. to check the IP cameras. Watching a $400 40-hour print fail at 98% because of a 2-second power grid dip. A forced firmware update quietly bricks 20 motherboards simultaneously. A bad batch of white PLA arrives wet, boiling in the nozzles, ruining 3 days of holiday fulfillment. Clients demanding injection molding tolerances, 0.01 millimeters. From FDM technology, 0.1 millimeters. Chargebacks. 5-star reviews held hostage for free reprints. The relentless, inescapable ticking of the depreciation clock. You aren't a tech visionary. You are a factory floor manager in a factory that breaks itself every 48 hours. Let's look at the ultimate P and L for an average month at 55% utilization. Assuming you miraculously sell every hour of machine time for an average yield of $1.50 per hour. Gross revenue, $59,400. Platform fees, 15%. Minus $8,910. Materials and waste, 20%. Minus $11,880. Labor, 3 operators, 24/7 coverage equivalent. Minus $14,000. Rent and utilities, minus $4,000. Hardware depreciation, minus $5,000. Maintenance and replacements, minus $2,500. Net profit, $13,110. A 22% net margin, $13,110. For bearing the risk of $175,000 in CapEx, managing employees, and fighting the laws of thermodynamics every single day. And that is before corporate taxes, unexpected legal fees, or the dreaded summer drought when consumer spending dries up. The revenue chart of a 3D printing farm looks like a heart monitor. Violent spikes of Q4 holiday euphoria, followed by terrifying flatlines of Q2 and Q3 stagnation. In the end, the survival of a 3D printing farm comes down to one single ultimate factor: time arbitrage. The winner in this industry is never the person who prints the coolest models. The winner is not the one with the best filament. The winner is the ruthless operator who builds automated gantry systems to sweep finished parts off the bed at 4 a.m., instantly triggering the next print without a human in the room. It is an industry where milliseconds matter, where idle time is a fatal disease, and where the only way to win is to treat your machines with the exact same cold, mathematical brutality that they inflict upon you. Welcome to the farm. Grab a scraper. Start peeling.
Hey everyone, huge thanks for watching. If you liked it, please hit that red like and subscribe button over here. Thanks again.